Today we're talking about one of recent really, really heartbreaking stories that happened to one of our clients. And that has to do with proof of foreign experience for your express entry application. So let's unfold this story. My name is Elena Weber. I'm an RCIC, and here with me I have Corey Weber, also regulated Canadian immigration consultant. Okay, so Corey, can you briefly tell the story, kind of an outline of events, what happened, and what
Mhm.
challenge our client has faced when proving her foreign work experience?
Yeah, so she came to us and she had an ITA and it was great. Everything was great. I have an ITA. So we started working together and, we're going through the onboarding process, if you will, and we're figuring out like what employments we're going to be using. And she had her foreign employment that she wanted to use. She had 1 year, which was great. And we have Canadian employment and foreign employment. But basically, when it came down to the document checklist and came down to actually getting the documents from her foreign employer, it became a big struggle. And she just wasn't able to come up with the documentation as it's required by IRCC. So this was employment from some time ago that she doesn't work there obviously anymore, and the employer just wasn't willing to kind of give her the right documents, right? So when we added up all the hours and everything, even she had two employments, one that we wanted to use because she had previously mentioned it before, but when we added up the hours, it was like a part-time job. It didn't add up to our full 1560 hours. So then the idea became maybe using another part-time job that she did at one other time, and unfortunately, she had never mentioned that job before. So
In previous like study permit
in
application.
previous study permits or post-grad work permits. So this was brand new employment. And, this raises some red flags for us, right? You've never mentioned this before. And now, not to mention, like, it's more work for us, obviously. And we didn't include this in our original retainer structure agreement, right? That this employment was like we were going with one foreign employment, one Canadian employment. And now it seems like we're trying to piece things together a little bit here.
Well, I just want to remind like our viewers, right, that this person already got invitation to apply. Adding information like and changing things or changing employments or knock codes or hours or anything after invitation to apply is tricky. Like I'm not saying it's forbidden, it's not forbidden, we've done it, but it needs to be done like smartly and carefully and
Hmm.
of course with discretion that IRCC can come after you for this, right? But when that employment that being added was never mentioned before in any
Yeah.
previous applications, that is a recipe for misrepresentation. Not only was not mentioned when ITA was received, right? But also it was not mentioned in
Previous.
previous applications.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Obviously the answer that we can't be comfortable submitting this application, through our immigration firm, knowing like there's a very high chance of refusal. And some people are okay with that. And they're okay with the risk because it's like, well, what else am I gonna do? Right? I have this ITA. If I don't use my foreign experience, I'm gonna lose that score, that 50 points. I'm gonna be down in the 460s or something, right? Like that, or 470s. Uh, so in some people's opinion, it's just like, well, I'm just gonna go for it, right? And I get that. I understand that opinion. It's just, it's hard as a representative for somebody to submit something that I'm not 100% behind, right? And not 100% sure that I want to put my name on that because we have a reputation and we have we don't want um to just do things even though like, we don't want to do things that are we are consciously aware of, like there's a high chance of refusal, right? And I don't want to put our names through those refusals and our
Well,
our,
I
our
just
firm.
think it is incompetent to submit somebody's case if you know that the refusal is like 99.99% chance,
Yeah,
right? Unless
exactly. And
yeah.
not only just the refusal, but the potential to have misrepresentation be brought in, right? For not having mentioned that previous experience before. And, they'll go back and say, okay, but on your study permit application, you said from 2018 to 2019, you were unemployed. Now you're telling me from 2018 to 2019, you were employed with this other business and you're providing all these documentations. That is misrepresentation, right? So, and again, that is attached to that person, but then it's like the IRCC will also see that I was the RCIC who's submitting this information, and it's misrepresentation, also against our firm as well, right? Like we don't want to have that reputation of submitting documents that are not necessarily up to par for IRCC, right? We always want to submit the best and strongest application.
Yeah, but let's go back to the original issue. So, really, the original issue, why this has all started coming up, is just simply because what was inputted in Express Entry Profile, the person couldn't back it up. Right? They don't have documents to back up their 1 year of foreign work experience. That's why all of these other experiences started appearing and like all these issues started appearing. But if the person could come up with correct documents, like good documents up to IRCC standards for that 1 year of foreign experience with 1560 hours,
Yep.
then we would have been fine,
Of
right?
course, everything would have been fine, yeah, and so I get like, what happens is I know the points are quite high right now, and everybody's in the pool of candidates, and they're sitting with their 520, and they've got that 1 year of foreign experience, and they're just waiting for the draw, and, they don't really put the thought into, like, "Okay, if and when that draw comes, can I get the documentation? And you'll have 60 days to apply," right? But if you know in yourself that it's very unlikely for you to get that foreign documentation post ITA, like try to do it now, like figure out another avenue, figure out a proper pathway, or try to get that documentation like before the ITA comes, right? Don't wait and then say, okay, I'll email them and I'll ask for an employment letter now that you have 60 days to go. Do that upfront. Work on getting these documentation documents. And if you can't use it, then it shouldn't be in your profile, right? At the end of the day, if you're unable to, it's great that you have 520 points and you're sitting there with that score, or 530 or whatever it might be with that foreign employment. But at the end of the day, if you can't provide the documents, you can't accept that ITA, right? Or you can try to provide whatever bare minimum you can and hope that you get a sympathetic officer and somehow you get approved. But in our, what we hear in the stories, what we hear from people who follow us is that like everybody's getting refused right now for much less things than that, and misrepresentations and mass refusals are on the rise right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see from like again from our like social media accounts and messages and emails that we're getting that truthfully immigrants are not aware of what considered to be correct documentation. And that's why we're going to have a part 2 of this video when we're going to cover on how this person, this person that got into these challenges could have actually avoided the situation and what documents they need to provide to prove foreign work experience. Because I'm afraid that people who are listening to us right now, they may be like, okay, but I have everything, because this is a response that I hear all the
Hmm.
time. I would say, okay, like, do you have proper employment letters from by IRCC standards from your employer, or maybe you need to request some? Always, 100% of the times I hear the answer, "I have everything, I have
Yeah.
everything." But then when I actually look at it, it's always not correct in terms of IRCC standards, in terms of what IRCC actually expects. So
Hmm.
that makes me think that people actually don't know what is the IRCC standard, right? So that's why in a part 2 of the video, make sure you watch that one. We're going to cover what is required for you to prove specifically for foreign work experience. Because Canadian work experience, I find it a bit easier.
Hmm.
Foreign work experience, that's when majority of people get in trouble. So make sure you watch part 2 of this video and I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching and don't forget to subscribe.